All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Yhamish Presents, where we talk about things Amtgard, whether it be Celestial Kingdom or any other kingdom or whatever parts of Amtgard we want to talk about. And so tonight on Yhamish Presents, we have Qilamil on the show tonight. You guys are familiar with him. It gets really weird when he starts flipping things around.
I'm like watching
Okay, so we have him on. He does have his own show that he does from time to time, not regularly scheduled.
No, it was supposed to be scheduled and get uploads every Saturday, and I just kind of fell off on getting episodes put up.
So that's Amtgard After Dark, right?
It's Amtgard After Dark or Amped After Dark.
That would be Qilamil. Thank you,
Hey, Dark Sun.
Dark Sun, for chiming in a little late on the question. You missed the first 3 seconds, which I introduced him. So anyway, so tonight we're going to talk about a couple things. Of course, I'm going to get your opinion on the Kingdom of Crystal Groves and what they've done.
Yeah.
I'm also, we're going to talk about Spring War coming up, which is now in a week and a half.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that's been done out at the site.
So ready for Spring War to come down. I'm so excited for this one.
A lot of work going into it. So let's go ahead and get started with this. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody and tell people about yourself.
All right. As you said, I'm Qilamil. I've been in the game for about 13 years now. I started playing back in 2005 in the Kingdom of Dragonspine at Pegasus Valley. Took a little bit of a hiatus around 2008, came back out in around 2012, 2014. I see that.
Yeah.
And when I came back out at the Duchy of Murky Waters, and I've now moved down to the park in Austin called Slaughter Creek, but I do bounce between Slaughter Creek and Nocturnus on the weekends. And so far, I think that's about it.
No, you missed a couple things. First of all, I see your sporting colors. Why don't you
Oh
tell
yeah,
everybody?
I am currently a maggot for the fighting company Corsairs.
And ladies and gentlemen, please take a note that you have a Saracen and a Corsair together doing a show.
Not just together doing a show, but we're also squired in the same belt line.
Okay. Now, for those of you that have been in Amtgard for a long time, you'd understand why this is a little weird. Okay. For those of you who haven't been in Amtgard that long, you're not aware. Because, I mean, you don't see the rivalry like we used to have with the Saracens versus the Corsairs. Okay. It was a long standing, and it got dirty. It got real dirty. But you don't really see that anymore. No. And so for the older members seeing a Corsair and a Saracen together, that looks a little bit on the odd side. So, but yeah, we are squired to the same knight, Sir Nightmare. So it's cool. Yeah. So, let's go ahead. First of all, I want to congratulate you today. Oh. The Duchy of Murky Waters did a tournament today, and you won.
Yeah.
You won all but one bracket.
Yeah, I took second in Sword and Board. And mainly because in those last bit of rounds, I was just goofing off, and I ended up getting caught goofing off.
It happens. That's usually about the only way that I'll lose. I lose pole.
Yeah.
Is I will get so ahead of myself and then start being funny with it, and then I'll get my ass kicked, and it's like, oh, great. So congratulations on the win.
Oh, thank you.
You did streak. You streaked twice. First time you streaked, you got to 12. The second time you streaked, you got to 11.
Yeah.
So you did qualify, and I will be talking to the Monarch of Slaughter Creek, which happens to be our Page brother.
Yes, he's our Page.
So it's not exactly like it's going to be difficult to talk to him. But formalities in Amtgard, you always ask for permission.
Yeah.
Before you go giving awards to somebody that's not a member of your park. There's some places that'll just do it, but I always believe it's a matter of respect to contact the monarch of your home park and say, hey, look, this happened in my park. The quality of fighters was good enough to achieve the next level, and he's qualified per ROP, so, can I go ahead and give it to him? I don't see where it'd be a big problem.
Yeah, and I've reached out a couple times holding office positions. I was champion at Murky Waters when I was here, and I reached out to Slaughter Creek also because Bollock qualified for his 5th Order of the Warrior while I was a champion.
Guess what? I just got permission.
Oh, look at that! There's
Luther right there. All right, so that problem is solved. I don't even have to call him. All right.
It makes it easier.
There it is. All right, so one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is you've been a part of the work party out at Spring War, and we have out at LaGrange.
Yeah.
Spring War's coming up in a week and a half, and folks, if you don't have the time off yet for it, go in and this is the symptoms you tell the doctor so you can guarantee you have a week off, okay? You go in and let them know that you're nauseated. Every once in a while, you do have blood coming out of your eyes when you cry, and slight seepage from your ears. You're having trouble breathing, and you're sweating profusely in places you really shouldn't be.
And you have no control over your
bodily functions.
Over your sphincter, so if you sneeze, you need to be near a toilet.
Yeah, and so what that does is that tells them that you have contracted a form of anthrax.
Pretty much.
And you've got a week off. So then you can come to Spring War. Now, I will tell you the first 3 days after you do that, they're going to have you locked up in ICU, and they're going to have you contained. But then they'll let you go, and then you have a week off. So do it now. So the 3 days is up by Friday. You can get all your stuff ready to go, and you can head out. You can head out Monday or Tuesday to get to the event. Yeah, it's real simple. You might even make the news.
Oh,
okay. So, and I'm just trying to help you guys out so you can go to Spring War. So there you go.
Dark Sun says he's not going.
Why are you not going? Why are you not going to Spring War? You're supposed to be there. So okay. So tell us about the improvements, because people that were at LaGrange last Spring War, let's run down last Spring War. Porta Johns only.
Yeah.
And I think we're still there, right? We're still at only Porta Johns. We haven't built an actual.
We are still currently sitting with Porta Johns only as restrooms. But the vast improvements that have been made is there are currently electrical outlets in key locations. There are a couple down near the ditch field in camp areas. There's also some up in Merchants Row, and I believe I saw one over by maybe close to Saracen City.
Okay.
And they went ahead and they put a storage unit in there, so nobody needs to leave site and go into LaGrange to go to the storage unit. It is now right there in the site, and everything has been moved over from the previous storage to the new one.
Mm-hmm.
The kitchen is actually put in right next to the storage.
Yes.
So now if somebody's doing Feastocrat and they need to go and grab something out of storage, instead of waiting for hours to get that pot that you need, you just walk, I'd say probably about a good 5-10 feet to the door, go in, grab it, come back out. And both of the buildings, they look amazing. So
did they go ahead, is the building that they just approved for the kitchen, the prefab building that was being done, it's been done and it's been put in place?
Right. They were out there, from what I've heard from Monica's, they were out there Thursday. They were building it. They actually had, from what she said, is a conga line of contractors. So when one group got tired, they would tag out, and the next group would come in, and they would work more, and they would just keep rotating, so that way they can get the building up as soon as possible. And I ended up finding out, because I walked over there, one of the contractors accidentally hurt himself. So we actually now have, apparently it's now Christian because there's blood on the floor.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So, I mean, the guy hurt himself, and he gave up some of his own blood for it. You know, hey, look, so you buy our standards. Usually that's how you christen a blade. Well, evidently that's how we've christened our kitchen, is with the blood of a contractor. So there we go.
Yeah, and I looked at the equipment that's going into it. All of it looks really good. It was donated, or it was bought from the Boy Scouts troop that was nearby. And we're going to have 2 ovens, but one of them doesn't work. That's probably going to take a little bit to fix that. But the other oven, they're also talking about putting in a fire brick oven outside the kitchen for other feasts that people want to do.
Okay.
And there is a 3 sink that went in, a 1 sink, and then a couple of, I want to say just like prep tables, because there's a drain on the back of them for water runoff and probably juice runoff also.
Okay, so with me being co-feastocrat, and I'm going to be working in there, so it's gonna. I haven't seen it yet, so it's going to be pretty nice setup.
It's going to be pretty nice. It's also going to be very spacious,
Okay.
and if they get the table, I'm pretty sure they're going to go ahead and try and get some steel tables to go ahead and throw in there, and even with those, because it's a pretty big building. It's a 20 by 23. All they're waiting on right now is for the two appliances that are going to be used for cooking to get finished cleaned, and then get a tractor out there and then move them from the carport to the kitchen, which is about a stone's throw from the carport.
Yeah, yeah. If any of you guys have been out to Lagrange, you know where the carport sits, and then over where we cleared out that area. And if you were at the last event at Lagrange, you saw the two cement pads that were over there. The small pad was for the storage shed, and the big pad is for the kitchen, so you know how close they are.
Yeah.
Now, my next question, since you've been out there, have they taken the bleachers out of the carport and put them up yet?
No, they have not taken the bleachers out of the carport yet. They are still under, but that is actually, from what Diston said, is that is another project that they are going to use whatever money's left over from this project, and they're going to go ahead and get the hardware that's missing. They're going to lay some concrete down to go ahead and anchor it and secure it properly down by the ditch field. And then they're going to go ahead and try and get some shade cast over the bleachers. So
now, are the bleachers at least going to get moved before Spring War?
Not before Spring War.
So they're still going to be under the carport?
They're still going to be under the carport.
Okay. All right. Well, I know somebody had asked me that last week if the bleachers had been moved out from the carport yet. So we still have to deal with them during Spring War, and so then basically what we're looking at is Thursday night and Friday night for food. We're gonna be outdoors. We're not gonna be under cover.
Right.
For food. Now Saturday night, of course, we're gonna be in the big.
We're gonna be in the big feast hall.
The big arena hall to do that, which is where we always end up doing that. Is over there, so that we don't have to worry about. So hopefully we don't have any issues with rain or anything like that come Thursday or Friday night.
Yeah.
I was really hoping those bleachers were gone out of there.
Hopefully.
You know, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll work around it. We'll figure out a way to work around it.
It was a hopeful that I'm hoping by at least by coronation they'll be down by the battlefield.
Okay.
I'm hoping by coronation we'll have more people come out and actually be able to do all this.
Now the electricity and all that, all those issues that we had at the last event should be all corrected now, right?
Yes, they actually, I think Ruben's friend, I think he's an electrician. He was down there and he was messing with the outlets and making sure that each one was properly receiving and administering power. Mm-hmm. And he said that the ones by the battlefield are good. And next weekend, he said he was going to possibly come out and he was going to look at the ones that are actually in the camp areas.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, other than that, pretty much it's all still the same. We still have the cabins and everything else. I think all the cabins are gone now. I think they've all been reserved. I don't know. Surreal listens to the show, but she's not in the chat room, so we'll see a message pop up at the bottom if there's any golf carts or cabins left.
I think the golf carts are all gone, but the cabins, there might still be one left.
Okay. So there you go. So check with them and find out if you still want to get a cabin. Check with them and find out. But remember, Spring War's in a week and a half, so get on it.
Yeah.
But anywho, on that. So there we go. So that Spring War, folks, coming up in a week and a half. You got to go. Yhamish for Monarch. No. No.
Yhamish for CK Monarch.
I'm leaving at the end. I'm leaving at the end of the month.
Yhamish for Neverwinter Monarch.
I don't know if I'll be eligible. I got to find out if Neverwinter has a mileage requirement. If you're so many miles outside of the Kingdom Center, because a lot of kingdoms have that. If you're more than 200 miles away from the Kingdom Center, you're not eligible to run for office. And where we're going to be living in Mississippi, we're well outside of 200 miles. I think we're like 380 miles or something like that from the Kingdom Center. So, yay! Bacon showed up finally. So I don't foresee me being the monarch of Neverwinter. However, I am going to be starting a park in Mississippi down in the South End. So if you got any friends that like to do Amtgard and live in South Mississippi, let them know there is a Amtgard park coming, because the closest one to it, they meet like every other Saturday, and you got to call to verify if they're even going to do it. So, so if you, like I said, if you know anybody in South Mississippi, let them know there's an Amtgard park coming their way. Okay, so, we're going to go. Oh, so you watched last night's show that we had, and you saw what happened, or you heard what happened in KCG.
Yeah, okay. I heard about that.
And so, what is your take on now a Kingdom Board of Directors has come out and just arbitrarily removed removed the membership of a player without any discussion, without any real statement of what the violation was? They just all I read in that was the player was considered detrimental to the organization, and they've now removed their membership.
Well,
what's your opinion on that?
My opinion on that is, for the first part, for them going ahead and removing the membership, like, the first thing that popped in my head is, how do you remove membership of somebody from a game? Do you, like, delete them out of the records keep and then go ahead and burn their waiver? How do you do that?
Yeah.
And then the next thing that popped in my head is the fact that there was no real reason as to why the guy got removed. So with a lot of the stuff that's been going on, it really sounds shady. And it sounds like these guys just want to go ahead and they want to have their cool kids club, give everybody else that they like the jackets and the VIP cards, and then as soon as they go, well, you did this and we don't like you anymore, so we're going to take all this stuff back from you.
Yeah. And it does really seem like something's weird about this, because it doesn't give a COC listing. It doesn't give any real violation. All it says is, we feel that he's detrimental to the organization. So you got rid of a player. You got rid of a player because you didn't like him. Now let me tell you. I'll tell you about Tim. Okay. Me and Tim don't get along on a lot of things. Okay. We do agree on some things. We do agree that we're in this game to have fun, and that's what we're doing. But Tim has a tendency to come off kind of rash with people. But he is not to the point where I would kick him out, because if I kicked people out for how he is, I would have to kick a large majority of people out of this game.
There's a lot of people in this game that are brash, rude, and they're, in other words, brutally honest, to where if you hear something that they say, and if it doesn't tune to your ears properly, then people can be like, wow, that guy's an asshole, or that guy's a dick. Okay, that's their own personal, perspective on things.
Yeah. By the way, for those of you wondering about the random little person sounds you're hearing, we've got the tiny human here in studio with us. So you may hear Dorian, right?
Yep.
Dorian. You may hear Dorian. I don't know. I sometimes I mispronounce his name. That's why I had to ask.
Yeah, it's Dorian. It's the same as the Penny Dreadfuls.
Okay.
And that's actually, his name is Dorian Gray.
Okay, yeah. So you may hear tiny human sounds while we're on doing this, and it's just because he's in the background. Wants people to know he's here.
He's actually snoring right now.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Look behind.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh my God, I wish I was out like that right now. But the thing is this disturbs me now, because their board of directors was very adamant about saying that they were not a part of the game, that they regulate the mundane side of that organization.
There's no...
So in order, my understanding by their definition of that and the way they wrote their bylaws, is the only way that they could intervene and remove memberships from the game, is if somebody endangered the organization as a whole mundanely, or endangered the organization by something they did while playing the game that could result in mundane issues.
Yeah.
Or that they broke the law somewhere. They got a felony for something or something of that nature. And now and now we're sitting in a situation where they just up and removed a membership, and it's like, where does it stop?
Yeah, the thing is the board of directors for any kingdom, what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to be able to uphold the rules of play and the kingdom's corpora.
Yes.
So that way, if say the monarch goes ahead and they break corpora, the BOD is supposed to come in and say, hey, you didn't do this right, you need to fix it. But for the KCG's case, where they're just running wild and doing their own thing, for one, you can't really control the mundane side of the kingdom, because in the way that sounds is you're trying to control your players outside the game, make them, you know, be on their P's and Q's, and from what it sounds like is they can say nobody in this kingdom is allowed to work at a fast food job. So if you
well, no, not to that level.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Okay. So let me explain it a little bit in detail what they define themselves as doing. They handle the finances of the organization, because finances are a mundane thing.
Yeah.
Okay. If the authorities have to be involved, then they get involved. If they handle the NPO, because the NPO is a federal deal. Insurance, mundane issue, things like that. These are the things they handle.
Right.
Now, when it comes to the game, they remove themselves from the kingdom's corpora. So the kingdom, the corpora is to them is a fantasy issue. So it does not directly relate to them. The kingdom cannot decide who's on that board or who's not on that board. And so and trust me, like I said, it would take, you know, it would take hours to completely fully explain how that operation works. However, they cannot interfere in your personal life unless it's something to the level of, if you get a felony for, say, indecency with a child, then they can go right in and eliminate you, and I don't have a problem if they did something like that.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody gets busted with child molestation charges, by all means, the BOD should immediately, they're gone. And make it public. Make it a public statement, so that way everybody knows they went and did the job they needed to do right away.
Yeah.
Okay, but what it bothers me is that now they just set a precedence that they can now remove people at will simply because they don't like them.
And that's
because you can't regulate them. That there's the part that concerns me, is they've done this and you can't regulate them. The kingdom cannot go in and say, we do not like who's on this board, we're now removing this board. They have no authority to do it.
And the thing about the Kingdom BOD is the positions are picked by the populace of the kingdom.
In almost every kingdom except, I think, 2. KCG and Taldagor.
And
unless Taldagor fixed that, I don't know.
And the only ones that aren't actually appointed by the populace are the the ones that the outgoing monarch fills. Those are the ones.
Are you talking about the member at large position or whatever it is?
No, because the way our kingdom's BOD is like you have the monarch, the regent, and then you have the treasurer, the secretary, the president, and then it's general. It's like general something. Then pretty much they handle like the inventory list of the storage.
Mm-hmm.
And the monarch and the regent and the prime minister, it's the monarch and the prime minister, they have a position that they fall to once they are now no longer monarch. So that way, if the current present monarch cannot appear for a BOD meeting, then the other one will come in and fill in for him.
Yeah.
And will relay any information from the BOD minutes that don't get posted to the current monarch, so that way they know what was said and what was done.
Okay. All right. Well, and then of course this is a conversation we could go into and bore the fuck out of people until they pass out.
Yep. Artillery's going off.
Yep. You know. No, actually, I think that was probably little man just fell out of bed. I'm not sure.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I heard it over here.
Oh, okay. But anyway, wait, hold up. I don't see how that's right. So if the BOD is out of line, there's nothing the kingdom can do about it.
From what the KCG is making it sound like,
that depends, because the KCG does have a kill. They do have a kill switch for their BOD. There's certain members that they can go in and shut it down. I don't know who they are. But there's supposed to be certain members that can go in and actually kill the BOD. Why they haven't done it yet, I don't know. But like I said, the concerning thing is you have a BOD that just removed a member of the game who did not violate any mundane laws, didn't do anything, that would require an entity like that they consider themselves a mundane and separate entity from the organization,
right,
to be able to go in and regulate who gets in and who doesn't get in.
And you told me some confidential information at lunch, and there is no possible way that the BOD, that this person could apparently have violated that or have done that.
We can't go into any specific details about it, but I know more about the situation, and the problem is, it's just, there's no way. It's absolute nonsense, and I really wish somebody from their kingdom would get in front of this and explain this, because there's quite a few people in this organization that are wondering now, is this a thing? Because if this has now become a thing, technically, in a sense, because the way they did it, they just went outside the ROP. But according to them, the ROP doesn't apply to them.
Then they aren't a BOD.
Yeah, so... Because I remember having that argument. I'm like, well, the ROP says you can't do this. The ROP, in which the explanation that Jeshua gave, which is accurate, if you went into the court of law right now with our ROP and try to use that as a defense, they're going to throw it out. Because there's nothing legal about it. However, we operate as an organization and we follow the rules of play. And the guidelines in our corporas are supposed to set all this stuff up and lead the rules on how it works. And they are outside of all of that.
And the way they're making it play is they're kind of going by what's called the Pirate's Code. Where it's not exactly a set of rules, it's more of guidelines. He's very stubborn going to bed, so he is...
Yeah, you're... So, by the way, the little man is fighting going to sleep.
Yes.
For those of you who are parents in our audience, you understand exactly what's happening right now.
And I deal with that every night, and I'm going, just go to sleep, please, just go to sleep.
Yeah, eventually he'll give up. Eventually he'll lose the fight and sleep. So, all right. So, I think both of us are here in agreement that this is not something that should be happening whatsoever, no.
It shouldn't happen, and what it's really sounding like to me, and what I pointed out last night in the chat, is the KCG BOD is just a group of power-hungry people that want as much power as they can have and have no repercussions.
Well, we're also talking about the same BOD that had in their bylaws at one point, I don't know if they still do or not, where they can vote themselves an actual salary. They can vote themselves a financial reimbursement for their time out of the kingdom funds.
So they can give themselves money for
being on the BOD.
That's totally...
I don't know. I don't know if that's still the case. I don't know if that's still the case or not, but it was the case when I was there.
Yeah.
And that was one of the red flags I had, is going, wait a minute, you guys can pay yourself for this?
That's definitely illegal, because because Amtgard as a whole is a non-profit. We're not supposed to be able to pay players.
You would have to, and on that whole deal on how that's even possible, you would have to ask Jeshua or Jesus Salang and Sir Wisp, on exactly how that works. Because they tried to explain it to me once, and I'm looked at it and go, no, you can't do that. No, you can't. So anyway, let's move on from that. All right, so we're both in agreement on that. Oh, listen to that. That's pathetic.
That is so pathetic.
That is. I want to cry, but I don't have.
You can't see her right now, but she is. But Raquelia is currently laughing at the noise.
He is trying so hard.
Ours did it too.
I shouldn't be laughing, but it's funny.
It is. I love when they stretch it out like that.
And then be quiet for a moment, like we're trying.
Okay, so all right. So now let's get to another matter at hand. Okay.
Yeah.
And I always ask, kind of probative questions about things. The other day, because you regularly do live cast during the day,
Yeah.
and talking about opinions and stuff like that. The other day, you had a bad situation.
Yeah.
And some things happened out at your park that you were a part of.
At a park, I was now considered a visitor, but they still see me as a member, even though my credits aren't there.
Yeah.
And it involves him.
Okay. And so, some things got said. And they were not good. And one of the things is we push this organization as a family-friendly organization.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what happened that caused you to basically have a breakdown online based off of what happened at the park?
Okay, so Saturday we went out to the park and we were hanging out, having fun. We go through our normal routine, is where we show up, we set the baby up with his pack and play, we put his toys in there, we set him down, and if he's entertaining himself or he's entertaining with somebody else, we leave him alone. Because if he's not doing that, we don't bother him. Well, apparently, from what I didn't get told, but Harley got told, is that if we are to bring the child out to park, one of us has to be with him at all times, or he is not allowed to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And it also,
even if other people volunteer to watch him.
Even if other people volunteer, if he comes out to park and we're out there, it's either one of us has to watch him or he's not allowed out.
Okay. So basically, in a sense, I mean, and I don't say that I understand what they've done, but so what you guys are going to have to do by what they told you is you guys are going to have to switch off.
Yeah, we're going to.
Even if somebody says, "Hey, look, I don't fight," and I love you, kid. I love Dorian to death, and I'll sit here and chill out and play with Dorian.
Yeah.
Like if we took Raquel out there.
Yeah.
And Raquel loves Dorian and plays with Dorian while all three of us go out on the field, that's still a no-no for them because one of y'all has to be there with him.
Yeah.
So, and I've been playing the game for a long time, and I know there's been times where I've been hurt out on the field. Somebody's got their kid, and I see they're frustrated because they want to go out and play. I'm like, here, bring the little one over here. I'll say, Uncle Yhamish will keep them occupied and happy while you're out playing a game.
Yeah.
If you're talking about Nocturnus, I'm Baroness, and that is not what will happen at Park. Okay. Yeah, we are talking about Nocturnus, and we're talking about what got discussed with your other half about this. This was not discussed amongst the Nocturnus monarchy first.
Well, the problem with that was...
somebody's running their mouth about what you guys are allowing and not allowing, and I think you need to clean up. I think you need to straighten the ship out.
You need to address that post-haste, because also what happened is one of the knights at Nocturnus turned around, and the first thing I heard out of Harley's mouth when she said he stated that, I know he's a single dad, but he needs to watch his son. And then after that point, all I got is that he verbally assaulted Harley over the situation to the point that sitting down with myself and Jill after the show last week, Harley started crying.
Okay.
And that put me in such of a rage that I was about to blow up on Nocturnus, but decided, you know what? I'll handle this on a personal level, and I won't take it out on the park. I ended up finding out later that there was a player another night down at Trader's Gate that threatened and said that if he was to be left unattended at Spring War, even if it was for a nap, that they will be calling Child Protective Services.
Yeah. And I can tell you what, I've been through the whole deal with Child Protective Services. It's not fun. And to make that kind of threat is ridiculous. But this obviously got to you because I watched your live cast. And in fact, I stopped working. I pulled my truck off the side of the road. I watched your podcast and I told you, I sent you a message like, dude, call me. And here's my number.
Yeah.
And then we talked about it. And so basically you have individuals that he is in the last throes of this fighting going to sleep, folks.
Yes.
You are listening to the torturous sounds of I don't want to go to sleep. And he is trying.
He is trying hard to sleep.
So anyway, evidently some people have taken it upon themselves to act as if they represent the park and say that here's what the park is saying. Well, I mean the Baroness of Nocturnus is on here right now and saying that is not a policy of Nocturnus.
Yeah.
And this was not discussed among them. So obviously somebody is claiming to be a representation of the monarchy and claiming this. So somebody somewhere needs to have a conversation with someone.
And one of the things that was first brought to my attention before all this got to such a level was, hey, he brings a child out and he doesn't really pay attention to him. He just leaves him in the crib and then doesn't bother coming and checking on him. And I said, okay, that once that got brought to my attention, if I step off and I go to do a battle game or do a ditch, once I'm done, I come back, I go check on him. See if he's sleeping, if he's awake, see how he is, if his diaper's dirty, if he needs a new bottle, or if he just needs to get picked up. And there's actually have been multiple times that I've taken him out to Slaughter Creek, and our Page brother and sister have decided to interact with him, and our Page sister will sit there and hang out with him, play with him, and the first time he starts fussing or he throws the bombshell in his diaper, she lets me know, no matter where I am, she hunts me down, and I drop my gear, I go handle it, and then she goes, all right, you're good, thank you, and then lets me go.
I've had 2 children in this game from birth to where they're at now. One of which is 5 years old, the other one is 16, which will be at Spring War too, by the way. And I will tell you that there's times as soon as I get him to go to sleep, and he's in that pack and play, and I got him wrapped up and bundled up, I am immediately on the field. I am like, I am taking full advantage of this moment. But I'm sitting there playing, and as soon as I hear him and he's awake again, it's like, oh, I'm out, I'm dead, and I'm over there.
Yeah.
It's not an endangerment issue. Okay, and I don't understand why people have to interact or have to feel like they need to inject themselves into this situation. Because I'm sorry, but handle your own family.
Yeah.
If there's obviously a situation where there's endangerment, okay, if there's obviously a situation of neglect, sure, intervene.
Yeah.
By all means, intervene. But if it's a situation where the child is now passed out, and we all know as parents, you can't hover over top of them while they're passed out or while they're trying to pass out because they won't. They will not take a nap. You forget it.
Yeah.
Okay? So sometimes you have to step away for a minute, and you have to get a little bit of distance between them, and then they finally give up, and they pass out.
And that's one of the things is with Dorian. If we want him to nap or sleep and he ends up doing stuff like this, we'll grab our phones, we'll throw it on YouTube, and I've got an actual playlist of 3 songs that I throw on repeat and shuffle, and they'll just sit there and play, and he'll fall asleep to that.
Yeah.
He is the only child that I know that will fall asleep to Disturbed.
No,
and he's done that since birth.
That 5-year-old in there will fall asleep to Five Finger Death Punch.
And he's been doing that since birth.
Yeah.
He hates classical.
Yeah, my 5-year-old hates classical. You put classical on, he gets mad at you. But so it's I think what's happened in this situation is people have talked out of turn, and gotten themselves involved in a situation they have no business getting involved in.
Right.
And what they've done is they've pulled the monarchy to a park in this where, according to Katarina, who's the Baroness of the park, this is not an issue that they have the right to take part in or to discuss as a representative. Because if I can understand that you say the monarchy has discussed this issue. If Katarina came up and said this is not going to happen at my park, then okay, fine. Because the monarch of a park is the say so.
Yes.
On things of this nature. This isn't an all thing. This wouldn't be an all thing discussion. This this is part of their job.
Right.
And so if Katarina came up and said this to you, then yeah, that would be the monarchy of the park. But somebody's spoken out of turn, and I'm pretty sure now that Katarina knows this, hopefully Katarina will address this issue.
Yeah.
So we do not have this problem, because people want to go. I've been to Nocturnus. It's a fun park to play at, but having a child that I do sometimes have to take to park. If this is a situation where I don't feel comfortable taking my children because I don't know how people there are going to react to it, because me hearing what you said about the monarchy,
yeah,
I don't know that I'm going to want to take my 5-year-old out there with me. So now I have to reschedule, and okay, I'm not going to go to Nocturnus now, so I got to go to another park. And that's definitely not something that Nocturnus wants.
No,
because we have a lot of members of this kingdom that have little ones.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that really stressed me out is the game is on paper and portrayed as a family friendly environment.
I think there is a line somewhere in the ROP that says that.
And when I was told that, I'm going, okay, it's supposed to be a family friendly environment,
but don't bring your family.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, so I guess players that have been in the game for a while are not grandfathered into this clause or something. And it's just to bring new players in, so that way once they've been in long enough, they can go ahead and say, well, now you can't bring your kids.
Yeah.
And that's what I got out of it, and it really killed me because I was going, you know what? I guess Nocturnus doesn't need my number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, what it sounds like now, especially with having a monarchy, and that's why I love to do this show.
Yeah.
Because sometimes information that we're not aware of comes out. Yeah. And like this, the monarchy did not know that this was being discussed. So now we can solve it. We can straighten this out, and and hopefully a done issue, and we'll never have this issue again. So, Katarina, thank you very much for weighing into the chat room.
Definitely.
And letting us know, because that solved a great many of things, and where we can move on from this. So now it's just that one other person. They decided to say what they had to say. I have my opinions about it, and
yeah.
I'm not really going to go into it. But let me just say that kind of amazed that they said that. I'm just going to say that right there.
I just don't know if they want to be called the pot or the kettle.
Exactly. So anyway, I was trying to think what else we were going to talk about. By the way, folks, if you have any questions for Qilamil about anything, feel free to ask while we're having the show. You guys do know that we do have Q&A during the show on any of my guests, and there's nothing that's off limits.
Right.
Nothing. Try to keep it topic related, like Amtgard related, because I'm not going to probe into people's personal lives. That's not what this show is about. God damn it.
I was born like this. I'm sorry. I can't do anything about it.
Leave it to him.
It's Ronan. Of course he's going to do this.
Ronan's going to ask people why they're ugly. Me, not only was I born ugly, but then I went out the windshield of a vehicle when a little bit later on down the road, and I added to the mess. So
I was born like this. This is probably giving me a little bit of a pretty factor. If I take this off, then it's damn, you really ugly.
Damn right, we'll straighten this out. PM me after this, and we'll figure this out. So there you go.
Okay.
You got movement on this.
Now I got movement.
So there it is. All right. Thank you very much for that. No. I know you were asking him, but I figured I'd answer it too because I figured some point it's going to get to that question's going to get to me too.
It's like Yhamish, why are you so ugly?
One thing Ronan is does not have a filter. I will tell you right now, that man, nothing prevents him from asking what he wants to ask.
We used to be in the same company, and now it's a household. So now we're in the same household, and the fact that like he definitely doesn't have a filter because there's shit that he has said to us, and we're kind of going, really? You're gonna say that?
Ben, I'm going to have a chat with you at some point.
If I have my phone on me Monday through Friday, then you can get me there. Saturdays, all the way up until Spring War, I'll be doing the work parties. Sunday, I'll either be at my park and more likely you can't hear my phone. But once Spring War happens, I more likely will not have my phone on me because I will either be handling the baby or I'll be doing stuff. Yeah, I know you know where I live.
Yeah, and you know, and Ronan, you know, that's one of the things. Every time I put up the post, one of my most known for, people always hit me with your utmost honesty and bluntness about everything. That I don't sugarcoat shit. I am not the Amtgarder you go to when you want smoke blown up your ass about something.
Like I did that.
I think that's the reason why I'm 21 years into this game, and I still have a red belt.
Yeah, I did that to Nasile the last time he actually came out to a park. He looked at me and said, "I've vastly improved my game, haven't I?" I turned around and looked at him and said, "No, you haven't."
I totally, you know, one thing one of the things that I will say, when Tom came out to,
I was shocked when he came out to
Weapon Master, Dragon Master, right? And the one thing that he reminded me that I missed the most about this game was shit talking during tournaments.
Oh, there's still shit talking.
Not really.
Not as much.
Not to the level we used to have, because we would get hard on people, but now if you do that though it's like I made it because I remember because he was sitting there talking to somebody and I walked over and he goes, "Where's all the shit talking at?" And I turned around and while I was still reaving at Whisper, I said, "Tom, we can't really do that anymore. They'll ban us." And as soon as that word came out of my mouth, I knew I'd fucked up.
Yeah.
And I looked over and his eyes just lit right up.
Yeah, because he ran down the line.
And he's like, "Challenge accepted." And I'm like, "Oh no." And I swear I looked over at Wynn and Wynn looked right at me and was like,
"Why did you have to do this?
Why do you encourage him?" But the thing is you get some of us older people around, and we'll do that. We'll talk all kinds of trash to each other because we've been doing it for years. But you have to be careful because some of these newer players, they can't handle that. They can't handle the way we were with each other.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because that was part of what made this game fun, was just seeing how far we could josh each other before you finally had to go, "Yeah, you got me. I've got nothing left."
I do that with Rue whenever me and him are facing off one-on-one in the tournament, because at Fall Coronation he was sitting there and he was having a little monologue conversation with Green, and I caught him in the middle of his monologue and killed him. He goes, "Oh, you caught me monologuing, you asshole." Yeah. So now every time I see him, I was like, "Hey, Rue, are you going to monologue now?" And he goes, "Nope." We go at it.
By the way, Dark Sun, I made this joke earlier today that we were going to sit here and announce Qilamil for Monarch against Mikushi.
Oh God.
Answer my question.
What's your question?
How's it feel being the co-host?
You are not. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No.
He really wants me to take over as co-host, and I'm going, it's going to be difficult when you guys move to Mississippi, because that means I would have to video chat with you guys every Sunday, or whenever you go, "Hey, we're going to do another episode." All right, let me get some time and let me put the squirt down.
But I made that joke with Qilamil today that we ought to announce him running for Monarch against Mikushi, in this reign, just to see what happens. And he emphatically said no.
Yeah,
And I don't know that I would want right now, even if I was available to do it, and say Makushi wasn't running.
Right.
Okay, I don't know that I would run for Monarch of this Kingdom right now, because whoever takes over, if they don't continue down the path we're already on, and try to reverse this, which Makushi said she's going to.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to get rough. There's a lot of things that have gone on, and I'm not going to sit here and say that. And I'm definitely not on the bandwagon of Bubba's done a horrible job. Okay, I think he got handed a mess, and the mess is just not. He has had some.
He was handed a pretty bad package.
Yeah, and the problem is he just has not gotten his footing on how to get ahead of it, and it's plagued him his entire reign. You know, and it sucks for being your first reign as monarch to have that happen to you.
And he's still got a little over a month and a half left on his reign too.
But I tell you what, though, I think things are going to turn around for him at Spring War. I think Spring War is going to be a blast, and I think things are going to do. You know, yeah, and that's what I'm saying too. Is it's not all his fault. Okay, he got handed a shit show from the last run, and a lot of people were still salty from it, and that salt carried over.
And it just escalated, and then the whole issue with Raban and the Dark Riders.
That whole investigation, suspension, non-suspension,
all that stuff, it just kind of...
That wasn't his fault at all. He just went with what he was handed.
And...
Which was a shit show. There was no way to handle that where it would have worked out in either side's favor whatsoever.
Yeah.
That was one of those, the gun is pointed to your head. Do you pull the trigger, or does somebody else pull the trigger?
Right.
So, you know, that's why I said, I don't think he's done a horrible job. I think he's tried to do what he can.
He hasn't done a horrible job. I mean,
numbers have increased in the kingdom, actually.
He's also, from last Monarch reign, he is stuck to the corpora. If anything had to be changed as far as come out of the corpora range, he will at least make it public to let people know, hey, we have to do this because of this reason.
Yeah.
So people aren't going last second, wait, are you telling me now that we can't do this because of this? And it's honestly, he's done as good of a job as he can.
Yeah. And for being a first reign and monarch of a kingdom, there's only one way it could be worse. What happened to me?
This kingdom also has more keyboard warriors than probably any of the other kingdoms combined.
You know, so the fact that he hadn't rage quit is impressive. Because a lot of other people that I've known in this game that would have been in that same situation get handed what he's gotten handed, and the things that have happened, because they would just quit. They would just said, "That's it, we're out, we're done." You know, they would have resigned. He has stuck it out, so I'll give him that. He has stuck through this.
Yeah,
and so there we go.
Like there's been bad calls, there's been bad decisions. We're all human. That's the best I can put it as. We're all human. We all make mistakes. Nobody is the perfect person.
I do believe this is Watcher's first Kingdom office, too. I don't think he served in another office in Kingdom.
That would be a question to ask Watcher. Oh, by the way, Dark Sun, Twat is now one of the new drill sergeants in the Corsairs. So he's probably gonna have a lot of fun with the maggots, including myself.
But I do believe, Ronan. Okay, I thought he took a shit sandwich, made a shit casserole.
That's a culinary expertise I don't want.
Right? That's not something I want to know how to create. I do believe, though, I think this was his first kingdom position. He's been at principality level when we had him.
Yeah.
When we had it. He's definitely been at duchy level multiple times. But I think this is the first step. It's the same thing with me. My first official office in Kingdom, because not pro tem, was king of a kingdom. I've been pro tem champion of a kingdom before, but it was only for the remaining month and a half of the king of it, so it didn't count.
Yeah.
Nor would I let it count. But yeah, so I think this was his first official full reign office.
Yeah.
Which, you know, look at it this way. It's kind of like I told him the other day. Pretty much the rest of this is all downhill from here if you do any of the other jobs.
Yeah.
Because you took the hardest one by the horns and just rolled with it. Okay. So does anybody have any questions for Qilamil about anything Amtgard related, stuff like that? Anything that you guys want to ask? He is knowledgeable in a lot of different things. While we're waiting, what are your aspirations in this game? Where do you see what are your goals right now?
My goals right now is I'm currently wanting to get better in in crafting, and I've been doing a lot of sewing. I actually picked up a woodworking project, and I'm almost done with it. I just got to do a few more things to it, and it should be done. As far as the sewing goes, the pants I'm wearing, these ones took me about, if I sat down and mapped it out, it probably took me about a good day, possibly 2 days to do, because I had to cut out each individual stripe, sew them all together, and then craft them into a pair of pants. And I'm actually surprised because even in the crotch region, all the lines are symmetrical.
Mm.
And
I can't sew. I'm banned from using sewing machines.
You set them on fire?
No. I have this tendency to, I go to try and, I was trying to make a reeve sash.
Oh, yeah?
Literally, just a reeve sash. And I did not realize you had to put the foot down.
Yeah.
And I was trying to pull the material through, and I snapped the needle in the process, and my ex-wife said, "That's it, you're not touching my sewing machine." And then she told my other ex-wife, who's I think she's got 9 orders of the dragon from her sewing stuff, back in the day before we really did garbers.
Yeah.
And yeah, she turned around and told me that I'm not allowed to use any of her sewing equipment. And in fact, it was one day I picked up a needle and thread, and somebody literally took it out of my fucking hands and said, so I'm banned from sewing. I'm not even allowed to sew. So lucky you actually get to learn that. I don't. So, Dark Sun keeps asking,
why did you become a maggot?
Yeah, why
did you go Corsair?
Corsair. Okay, so why'd you do that?
So, the reason why I went Corsair, I went and decided to throw my hat in the ring and pick up Maggothood for Corsairs is because, for one, I looked at all the fighting companies that the Kingdom had to offer, and based on what I saw and the way I portray myself and play in the game, none of the companies actually I fit into the mold for.
Okay.
I'm not that much of an asshole to be an Annihilus. I hate to say it, but I don't have that. I'm not that much of an asshole, and I can't follow a hive mind for the Dark Riders.
Mm.
And as far as the Saracen tribes go, with some of the Saracen tribes I saw when I first came to the kingdom, that immediately made me go, no. Because I'm sorry, I'm not going to have a collar put on and have somebody drag me around an event with a leash.
That actually happened.
And that happened a couple years ago. And after I saw it, I went, okay, not becoming a Saracen.
I don't know who in the hell did that, but I will say this much: if it would have happened around where I was at, that wouldn't have gone well.
Yeah.
My response to that would not have gone well. I get that back in the day we used to do the whole slave thing.
Yeah.
Okay, not the Saracens as just the Saracens. That we did.
Yeah, so Ronan even confirms it.
They did think that we used to have slave auctions and stuff back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, we used to be a rather colorful joint, all members of Amtgard years ago, and there's certain things we've eliminated that are for the good.
Yeah.
Okay, getting rid of slave auctions was definitely a step in the right direction.
Right.
because they were taken way out of hand.
Thank you.
Slave auctions were originally supposed to be, you bought a member of Amtgard, it was usually used as a fundraiser, and they did your shit work.
Yeah.
Like, carried your weapons around, fixed your armor. Like, if you would buy somebody who was a good armor smith, like, or decent armor smith. So if you had any repair work you needed done to your armor, they had to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you supplied all the materials, and they rebuilt your shit. Okay, same thing with weapons, same thing with garb, stuff like that. If you bought somebody for an event, they set up your tent. You know, they set up your campsite, and they tore your campsite down. However, people took it to a different level, and it was inappropriate.
Right.
And so I'm glad it's gone. Okay. Because I did that one year. I one event. Me and my wife, we bought somebody, and that's what they did. They set up our tent, our air mattress, and put our stuff in the tent for us. And then at the end of the event, when it was over, their whole job was to come in and tear everything down. I just did it one time. It was a good. It was for a good cause. What the money was going to, and the person didn't mind. They were cool with it. But you know, like I said, it was taken inappropriately. Yeah. And if I'd have seen something like that where somebody's dragging somebody around by a leash, and if they said that that's part of their initiation into the company, I'd have stopped that shit in a fucking hurry.
Yeah. And like, I looked at the war dancers, and for one, there's not that really many out there, and for those
they're out there, they've just gotten old.
And from those that I saw, I've known a couple of war dancers, and even with how they are and how they portray themselves, I don't fit into their mold. And what one of the jokes is I'm not broken enough to be a Golden Lions. So I was like, okay, then that really eliminates pretty much every fighting company in the kingdom. And somebody said, well, what about the Ascendants? And I went, the Ascendants are new, and I've already been a part of a new company that flopped. So I don't want to be a part of a new company. And all of a sudden I found out when I went up to Dallas to go to school for my job about the Corsairs, and I didn't know anything about the Corsairs, so I went and hung out with one of the Corsairs at one of their main parks in was it Garland? No, it's not Richardson. It was at Kings Point and Emerald Hills. I hung out with them at their park, and then after park we went over to I just looked up to see what Ronan said. So I went over to one of their generals' houses to watch a Dallas Cowboys game. And I sat there. Yeah, it was also a blowout because it was the Dallas Cowboys Denver Broncos game where the Broncos just spanked the crap out of the Cowboys. So I got to sit there, and actually I got to hang out with some of the Corsairs, and they were all really cool. They were good. And I sat there and I talked with them, and they said, well, we actually have a Corsair in the CK. And sure enough, I came back. I ran into him because he was at Slaughter Creek. They were having a fighter practice in Kyle. So I showed up. I pulled him aside and said, hey, I want to talk to you about Corsairs. So we walked over to the bar. We sat down. We talked about it for a little bit. And then I told him, okay, well, I'm going to be on the fence for a little bit. He shot me information. I sat there, and the main thing I wanted I wanted a fighting company that I could feel I'm a part of. A fighting company that could definitely help improve in all my areas in fighting and crafting and handling leadership positions. And then all in all, I was looking for that second family that as soon as I go out to an event, even if it's an event that I know that not a lot are going to be there, as long as one or two are there, we could hang out and chill and be bros or bros and sisters, because there are female Corsairs. And after going through all the information and calling people, I finally gave my decision to my sponsor and said, you know what, I would like to become a maggot. And he turned around and said, all right. Went ahead and added me to all the Facebook pages. I went through, I looked at everything that I needed to do, and sure enough.
There you go. So eventually you hope to full membership.
I aspire to become a full bird Corsair, and a lot of people are doing if I'm going with the mentality of when, not if, because with the if mentality,
You're
it's never
leaving
going to
yourself
happen.
an out.
You're leaving yourself an out, and it's not going to happen. If you go with the win mentality, you're always going to be pushing. You're always going to be trying your best to not only impress the other members of the company, because it's a unanimous vote to become a full-blooded Corsair. And if you get one no vote, then you have to wait until the next vote. And the votes normally happen at clan, but with more of us coming out the Spring War, I think we're trying to see about Spring War actually becoming one of our next votes.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we did. Is clan used to be an IKCOC for the Saracens, but clan's numbers dwindled so much for us that we moved it, and it ended up becoming Spring War and Keep.
Yeah,
is our two big IKCOCs, and because clan just wasn't producing numbers and made it work, people weren't coming.
Yeah.
So there would be no point to us doing a big IKCOC meeting when nobody was showing up. So on that. Okay, fighting company side, teammates and stuff like that aside, for you personally, what are your aspirations and goals in Amtgard?
My aspirations and goals is, well, for one, I want to get better at fighting, even if my body's slowly deteriorating, and especially after doing 7 years in the Army, I'm still surprisingly getting better and better with my fighting.
Because we know we talked about your arts and science side of it.
Yeah.
So you want to get better at fighting.
I want to get better at fighting. I do want to, at one point, step into leadership positions, and hopefully one day actually run kingdom level positions, be monarch, regent, possibly run as prime minister, and pretty much all in all, I want to handle everything that Amtgard can give me and run with it.
Okay, so my question for you is this. Okay, you're talking about you have aspirations to be in kingdom office at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, what's stopping you right now from running for champion of the kingdom against episode?
What's currently stopping me from? That's artillery.
That's artillery.
What's currently stopping me from running for kingdom champion against
Wait a minute,
episode?
that sound came from that direction. Fort Hood is that way. No, it was that side of the trailer that shook, not that side.
Yeah, it was over there.
Maybe somebody blew up the Dollar General.
What's really kind of stopping me is I know episode, and I know his fighting prowess, and episode knows my fighting prowess, and the way that kind of boils down to is we could probably cancel each other out in the tournament, and then it would come down to A&S, and A&S, he's got me beat. With no ifs, ands, or buts.
And I will have to say, for being an old broken guy like myself, and I ran for Kingdom Champion, before my injury, I was actually up 2 points on him.
Yeah.
Which was odd. I was expecting to just get blown out of the water. And I was up 2 points on him until I got hurt. So to say that you guys would cancel it out, I don't necessarily think that, because I'd have to say that you have a chance. Now, don't get me wrong, Episode's a great fighter.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you have just as much of a chance to get him at tournament as he has to get you.
Yeah.
It depends on how the cards fall and the people you're up against. If they stack the deck on one side or the other on the quality of fighters, then yeah, it's going to go in one or two you guys' favor. I've always believed if you have a qualifier,
yeah, and
you've got two people running for champion, even at kingdom level, the first round of the tournament in the quals should be if it's only two or even if it's four, should be your people running for champion against each other, and let them fight it out for the position.
Yeah.
And that way that's solved. We don't have to worry about one's at this end, one's at that end, and now we've got to do the points.
Yeah.
It's obvious if the first round of single sword, Florentine, sword and board, whatever the next round's going to be, and whatever the next round's going to be, and then open.
Yeah.
Okay. If they are fighting, you can sit there and look, he's got this win. In the next bracket, he got this win. All right, now they're tied at 1.
Yeah.
Instead of having to do the whole math system with the tournament where you could end up with two people running for office that didn't even score a point
Yeah.
in the long run. I don't know what do you think about that theory?
In that theory, that would actually take a lot of the strain off of whoever is running the tournaments, which I believe at that point it would come down to the GMR. If I'm right, it would come down to the GMR to run the quals tournaments.
Yeah, because our GMR ran the quals tournament last time.
Yeah, and it would definitely help because, you know, first round, I take out episode in single, I turn around, he takes me out in flow, and then takes me out in sword and board, and then I take him in great, and then it would sit there and trade off back and forth until at the very end of it, one stands out the victor.
That was definitely artillery that time.
That time was artillery.
Yeah.
But he picked up metalworking and has done some welding and he's actually crafted some really good metalworking to the point that I'm going, I haven't even started touching leatherworking yet. I'm still on garb and possibly woodworking.
If the two of you face each other in the first round, every bracket, then it wouldn't come down to ANS because there would have to be a winner between you guys.
Yeah.
Because if there's an odd number of brackets, which there is, then one of you will have one more win than the other, and we don't have to move to ANS. All you got to do is qualify in ANS. And I think, and like you said, and I agree with that statement, I think it relieves a lot of stress if they would just go to that system, because a lot of places go to that system.
Yeah.
If you got 4 people running for champion, guaranteed, you have 2 brackets, you have 2 in this bracket and 2 in this bracket, and the winner of those 2 brackets end up against each other.
Yeah, and then it would come down to who's the better intent.
Yeah, exactly. So, with having an odd number, it is possible to have a tie.
Yeah.
If you have more than 2. If you only have 2 running, then it's impossible to get a tie with an odd number of brackets. But, like Dark Sun's saying right there is, honestly, you should take a shot at it. Because...
Yeah.
I didn't know. I never had to run for Kingdom Champion before. And I knew it was competition. And I knew with Episode being a better fighter than me. I was like, you saw it. I was nervous as shit because I know Episode's a better fighter than me. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say I could get him. I think that I'm a little bit better in pull than him, but you got to look at who trained me. Amtgard's the one to train me how to use pole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I give no fucks with a pole. I will mow people over.
We never got to do that fight.
We never got to because I ended up getting hurt. But but I think that would relieve a great many things. Now, since you're talking about officership and stuff like that, let me ask you something, okay? And everybody has their own opinions about this and everything else. Being an Amtgard as long as you have been.
Yeah.
Okay. And seeing where we're at now as an organization, what is something that you see that we can improve on as an organization? What can we get better at to make this organization better?
What we can work on as an organization to make it better? Well, for one, we need to stop the keyboard warriors from running off at the keystroke, because, well, let's face it, like, the Kingdom page is currently closed.
Yeah.
And the way that's been put down is nobody wants new players to see that page.
Exactly.
And they went ahead and they opened up the Hash It Out page, and I'm not even on that page, but I've seen some.
Believe it or not, the Hash It Out page, for the most part, stays pretty civil. There is some stuff that does get in there and go nuts, but
yeah,
for the most part, it stayed civil.
Yeah, and another thing that we should do is, as far as our events go, we need to open up for families to be able to show up, because the way the price rates are going, and I've talked to Monica about this, is the way that they have the rates set up. All that's going down. All it is we're putting more money in the Kingdom's pocket at the cost of attendance.
Yeah.
Because now with Spring War, it's $35 pre-register, $40 at gate, Which, by the way, if anybody hasn't pre-registered for Spring War, you have until midnight on the 11th to do that.
I'm waiting until I get the last of my bills taken care of this week because I have money in the account, but I want to make sure I got my bills covered before I do it.
Yeah. But the problem is not a lot of families are going to want to pay full price.
Yeah,
to
last
have
year.
their kids in.
Yeah, last year I did not see the point in me paying $40 for my 5-year-old, who actually was 4 at the time of Spring War last year, who has no real impact,
Yeah.
cost-wise, to the event. None. Because, in fact, when Raquelia ate, she shared part of her meal with him. He didn't get his own plate at Feast. So there literally at that point was no financial burden that he caused to the event.
Right.
But I had to pay the same amount for him that I paid for myself, which I am a huge financial impact to the game. Okay, I cost all kinds of money. I'm getting a deal by being there for $40.
And I talked to Monica about the rates that Lone Star gives, and she also said it at the All Thing that was held at Nocturnus last
And
week.
okay, so I was wrong. My son did have a financial impact because him being there cost them per the person being there.
And the way Lone Star charges us is they charge us by the head.
Hmm.
But as far as us, there's a certain age bracket that we want to go ahead and work with them. And what they're saying is up to, I want to say up to about up to 5 or up to 4. Right now it's up to 2. Oh, 7? Up to 7, they don't charge them because they're not going to be in harm's way when we're out there for events and playing.
You don't really have to worry about a huge liability risk.
So all you would have to do is just pay the rate for the child, and you'd be good. At the same time, if we open it up for day trippers and say, I understand that you can't come out for the whole event, you can only come out for like Saturday. Okay, well, go ahead and we charge you this much to come out for Saturday instead of having to charge you for acting as if you showed up for the whole event.
Why not do a $15 a day thing for day trippers? Because in the long run, if they just day trip 3 days out of the whole event, out of the 5 days, because Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, technically Sunday is but isn't.
Yeah.
Okay, but they do 3 days out of it. It would behoove them to just go ahead and pay the $40,
right,
to be there for the whole event. But instead, if they know you're going to have a whole lot of them that are showing up Saturday, that are locals, that are only going to be there Saturday, I don't understand why $15 would be an unreasonable price to charge them.
And it isn't. And I was sitting there, I was looking at it, and I'm going, we got rid of the day rate over 2 years ago. And it not only was just for Spring War, but it ended up encompassing our Kingdom events too. And a lot of the people that were coming out for the day event, just coming out for Saturday, some of them were coming out, and all they were coming out for was court.
Yeah.
So, if anything, have a special court-only day rate, and then you have a day rate for people that are going to be out there for the actual whole day. So that way...
So they say $20 for the whole day, $10 if you're just going to court.
Right, and...
I mean, how much are they charging us right now per head for the event?
6.
Okay, so 6. Okay, if they don't eat, if they eat and they're going to court, say $15, that includes your meal. $10 no meal, you get to go to court.
Yeah.
$20 if you're going to be there the whole day on Saturday.
So what I'm doing is I am writing up a proposal to go ahead and, for one, reintroduce the rate system because none of the rates are up to Lone Star. All the rates are based on what the autocrat.
We just know that we have to, at bare minimum, we have to charge every person what they charge us per head. That's the bare minimum. That is the absolute bottom line where we have to start from, and where we want to make our money where we go from there.
And that covers site costs, porta-johns, and the insurance.
Is that $6?
And it's at $6 per head.
Okay, so we know that it starts at $6. There's no negotiating below that line.
I talked to Monica, it's 6.
Okay. There's no negotiating below that line because that's where Lone Star sets their
That's
price.
as low as Lone Star is giving us, and with a lot of the other sites that have been looked at. And
No,
talked
and I
about,
know that, Angel, that it has to be decided way well the hell ahead of the event. Who's paid for it, who's not. I get that, and that's one of the things that's complicated. Is if we set a feast budget, okay, for 500 people, but then we have 130 people show up on Saturday that aren't accounted for it, then we have to purchase more food to account for it if 150 people suddenly buy feast. But I've seen a kingdom where they do break it down. Mm-hmm. The prices are broken down. If you want to just be there for Saturday, for the whole day, it's one price. If you're only going to show up just for court, because there's something going on at court that everybody wants to be a part of, then there's a price for that. Feast, no matter when you're going to be there and how long you're going to be at the event, feast is a totally different cost.
Yeah.
You have your site fee for the camping, which say, let's just round number, okay, $20 for a weekend event, and then $10 to get you the feast.
Yeah.
Okay, so $30. If you pre-reg, they make it like $25. They cut $5 off the feast cost to get you to pre-register. Okay. And I don't see where we couldn't do something like that for Spring War, where we could break it down and say, okay.
For this Spring War, because we're already so close and a lot of the rates have already been locked in, we can't do anything about it.
No, this is going to have to be something's going to be proposed for next year.
But what I want to do is I'm actually going to end up probably throwing in 2 proposals. And the first proposal is I want to open up pre-registration for all events.
Which would be nice.
For Kingdom events and for Spring War, not just Spring War. And
we're one of the few kingdoms left that doesn't do that.
And one of the mentalities that I have is like I understand that what we're using for our pre-registration, which is PayPal, it comes with a fee.
Not a very big fee, though.
And it's not a very big fee, but what him does, we will talk about the pants in a second.
We'll talk about the pants in a minute.
But what
I've not ignored your question. We'll get to that.
But what that does is if you open up the pre-registration and allow people to say you have a little extra money back in...
Okay, how...
I don't know anything about the Devil's Bayou mid-range situation, but what that does as far as...
No, we didn't lose money at Devil's Bayou for mid-range. We finished in the black.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you got...
Did you guys make positive?
We did. We not by much. Like $60, but we finished in the positive. So according to the thing posted, they lost money.
I never.
That's
saw the
news
thing
to me
posted.
because I was one of the crats at the event, and that was the big deal. At the end is our prime minister, our kingdom prime minister, said that we finished in the black. Yeah. We covered all the costs and we made money. So not much. We didn't make much, but we did make money. So I don't know where that number came from. I'll have to research that with and get back to you on the next Yhamish Presents about that.
But as far as like you open up pre-registration and you open up enough in advance, say you have a little extra on a paycheck, you want to go ahead and you want to get your gate fee already handled. So you go ahead, you pre-register, you pay for it. As far as discounting the rates, we're still in the air on that. We're actually talking about possibly still keeping it full, but actually giving incentives out to where you pay full price pre-registration, you get like what they do for clan. You get your own belt favor. We're also talking about possibly doing commemorative coins, to where if you show up for the event, you'll get a commemorative little coin, and we can actually base it off of whatever the rain theme is going to be. So like say we go ahead and do this for Coronation. Well, Jill wins the election and she's doing a WoW theme. The coin will be the Celestial Kingdom sigil on the front, or heraldry on the front, and on the back it'll be a WoW themed side.
Yeah, and of course somewhere in there Rain 56.
And it would say Rain 56 around the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next rain takes over. It would be the same one side on the coin, and the other side would be a theme. And if there isn't a theme posted at the time that the coins are made, or a theme wasn't chosen, then we would go ahead and we would put that person's personal heraldry on the other side and put their reign down.
Okay.
So that way it would kind of be like a collector's edition.
Okay, and you know what? I'd buy into that. I like cool collector things. Like I have 4 or 5 different Spring War belt favors that I've gotten over the years. I've gotten a couple from Clan. Like I was at Amtgard's 30th and stuff like that. So, I'm cool with that. I don't mind having stuff to put on there because I've invested 21 years of my life into this game and I'm 41. So half of my life has been in Amtgard. Okay? So, I don't mind having things from it because I love to talk about it. I love to brag about it. So
I think I'm about there because I'm 28 and I've almost hit 14 years.
Yeah, so there you go. So your half of your life has been spent here.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's get to Dark Sun's question and he wanted to know about the pants.
Yeah, he wants to know how much it's going to cost for a pair of pants like this. So normally for like a simple pair of pants, they would normally run, I'd say anywhere around $60, $75. Mm-hmm. And if you want to put any personal applique on, you'd probably jump the price up about $5. Since it takes about the same amount of fabric, just different colors, and the time it would take, I would say easily for a pair of pants like this, it would take anywhere about $80 to possibly $100, depending on how many colors you want to put in.
Okay. So, like, say, with Dark Sun being a Saracen like myself, if they wanted one that's red and black.
Red and black, I would do $80.
Okay.
And that would cover the cost of the fabric. It would cover the cost for the elastic, because there is actually elastic, and there's elastic down here. So if I wanted to go ahead and pull this up to my shin, to the top of my shin, bottom of my knee, I can do that. And if I wanted to wear boots, I don't have to tuck them in. And it's also elastic right here, so I don't have to worry about them falling down while I'm out fighting.
Okay. All right. So hopefully that answers your question. Now your road to let's cover one other thing. In your road to knighthood.
Yeah.
Okay. What path are you currently on? You get 80 and a pack of smokes because I love you. Okay. So hold on, Angel went ahead and did the research on that. It says the numbers I got from the Star for mid-range 55 was posted. Mid-range cost income was $1,435. The cost was $1,439. Total mid-range deficit was $4.12.
In brackets.
Okay, so that's news to me because we were told we were higher than that on the black.
Yeah.
We were almost $60 into the black. So I don't know what came up after that event that, I get you. I know what you were meaning by that. But we were told at the event that we finished in the positive, that all the bills were paid and we had some money left over. And like I said, I don't remember exact figures. It's either 40 or 60.
Yeah. So
I don't know what bill surfaced itself after the fact that wasn't there, but until that, we were, it was successful. So I don't know, but I mean, you're asking why did we lose $4.12? Okay, pretty much. This is why. Okay.
That was from 2017.
Okay, so yeah, so that's not even this year's event. Because here's the reason why we hurt for DB. Okay, all right. It wasn't necessarily the event venue. That's not what did it. It was the fact that the weather was complete crap. I mean, yeah, Saturday started off nice, but then it turned completely to shit.
Yeah.
It turned completely to shit. I'm pretty sure at some point, just the walk from the bar to my tent, which was way on the other side of the field, okay, suffered some form of cold weather injury on the way there. That's how cold it was with the wind, and it was trying to rain and sleet at the same time. And so, it's the weather at the event is what caused it, because it was raining. It was raining beforehand. It was raining on Friday. Then Saturday the sun came out for a little bit, but then another cold front shot right through and fucked it all up. So, You know, so that was the big thing about that, because the weather report got set in stone at about Thursday, because I had a big quest lined up.
Yeah.
Because I knew Saturday my numbers were going to be good. Friday I knew they weren't going to be great. But I knew Saturday my numbers were going to be good because a lot of people were just going to just day trip. And when the weather report got set in stone on Thursday for the prediction for the weekend, at that point I'm like, shit. You know, I'm going to have to come up with something on the fly now, because what I'd set for a quest had to do with the Viking theme was not going to work because I wasn't going to have the numbers.
No.
And so that's the only reason why our numbers, our finances for mid-range were low. If the weather would have been great, I think we would have made a lot of money off of that deal.
Yeah.
I think we would have been perfectly fine. But if you're saying that those numbers are from last year's numbers, then I don't know.
I think also would have factored in as a dumpster fire, because a few people decided to go ahead and...
Yeah, and I get that, but you know what?
But that was already handled. That was already talked.
But some people still showed up anyway. That was a part of that. You know, so that's not it. That's the whole we're protesting was a non-issue, because the totality of it was maybe 6 people total.
Yeah.
By the time it was said and done, did not show up because of where it was. We had other people that showed up, you know, that were part of that group that said they weren't going to be there.
Yeah.
You know, so...
I didn't show up because the weather dropped.
I protested the event by attending the event.
Yeah, I didn't go to the event because the weather dropped, and I'm sorry, I'm not taking, at the time, it was, February? So I'm not taking an 8-month-old
It's the first
child.
or second week of February, and the weather was just horrible. I wouldn't have. That we didn't, you know, we didn't take Little Man.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna take the little man out in case it got cold enough to where he could have possibly gotten sick or caught anything worse.
All right, good night, Dark Sun. I know we're getting ready to close this up here in a minute.
Yeah.
Because I usually run about an hour and a half to hour 45. Yeah, it was a very awful weekend for the weather. See, that's the problem with our mid-range, where our mid-range fall. It's either cold as shit and wet, or it's stupidly fucking hot.
And dry.
And dry. You know, because what? We got February and what? August?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's February and August. The 2 worst months in the state of Texas for weather. The 2 worst months in the state of Texas for weather. Okay.
Like, the coronations are like on the good ones, because you got April and November.
Which April, the weather is decent. You have a chance of it being kind of shitty, but most of the time it's decent. And then again in the fall, when it cools off finally, and it's not miserable.
Yeah.
So you know, that's the whole deal there. All you get is rain in April. No, it's not entirely true. April's usually pretty calm. So
and as far as moving the events, we have to follow the Kingdom Corpora, and the calendar that is posted in the Corpora is lax to a point, because it gives you 2 weekend options per event. So it'll say either this weekend or this weekend in this month for each event.
Well, I know Coronation they had to shift. The Kingdom Coronation that's upcoming.
Yeah.
They had to shift that, but that's because what? Known World War and something else.
Known World War and Sword Knight Bootcamp.
Yeah. So we shifted that.
We shifted that a week. For Fall Coronation, we shift that to the second weekend in November, because we know the first weekend in November is the start of deer hunting season, and Lone Star does allow hunters on their property to go hunting.
Yeah.
So I don't think you want to be out there trying to swing a sword and all of a sudden get caught with a stray bullet.
Well, they don't shoot that direction.
You never know.
Yeah, I know, but they shouldn't. Unless Dick Cheney's out there, and he'll shoot you
apparently
back.
Lone Star also had an event planned for that weekend also.
Yeah, so, but, okay, so back to, that covers those questions. So let me go back to the question I had. Knighthood, what's your discipline that you're going for?
Currently, I am working on sword. I've got 4 orders in that direction, but I do have a foot in 3 of the 4. I have a foot going towards flame. I have a foot going towards serpent, and I'm currently working and aspiring to go for sword knight. And I would say probably the one that's going to be the most difficult if I go ahead and try and do all 3 of them at once is more than likely going to be the Flame Knight, because we do have a lot of people that volunteer, but they volunteer in order to get recognized to get awards. They don't volunteer to volunteer.
Just volunteer.
And you will get knighted.
One day. No, and it's just like me. It's like, you know, I just do it because I love the game. I do it because I love the game, and service makes the game work.
Mm-hmm. And
without service, this game turns to stick jocks, and that's it. So we got a new car. I might join your show.
Yeah, I did see that. They traded in the old Subaru and they got a Nissan.
You know what? And in fact, I'm really thinking about the possibility is the last weekend that we'll be here, doing a big blowout show kind of thing. So if people want to come out and be a part of the show, you know, I don't think we'll have an issue with it. That last weekend, that last full weekend, because then the following week we'll actually get the truck and start loading it up, and which means all of this gets taken down, and we won't be able to do another show.
You don't know when the next episode's going to be.
Yeah, well, we know where the next episode's going to be. We just don't know what the how. Yeah. So you guys definitely come out. Okay, well that's good. Mine still. I'm not an ANS guy. Okay, even though you saw the piece of leather that I did some work on. You know, people are telling me that it looks great. I'm not an ANS guy, so evidently I got to work on that. But I know that sword is not ever in my future. I can't stay healthy long enough. You know, but for me, of course, it's, you know, service and crown.
Yeah.
I mean, I've literally been in politics since 3 months into the game.
Well, all you need to do is if you end up staying in the CK, like if you come back to the CK,
which I hope to. I hope to come back.
Or if you do it at another kingdom, all you have to do is run for Monarch one more time and actually run a full 6 months. You'll have the points for it.
Well, yeah, because I've already got 2.
You already have 2 from KCG, so
I got half
Monarch again.
Yeah, but the problem is those 2 probably end up haunting me because of where they came from. But all right, so is there anybody else has got any questions before we close this off? Just want that to know. Don't ever watch the screen from the YouTube because it's delayed.
Yeah, I know.
And you sitting there going, I don't see myself moving.
Like I'm sitting here moving back and forth. Like I'm over here, and then on the stream on YouTube, I'm actually over here. Yeah. I'm going, wait a minute, that's way off.
So if you guys have any questions before we cut this loose, now's the time, because we're going to go ahead and call this a night. Because he's got to get back to Kyle.
Yeah, I gotta. Roughly
I still got to go to the gas station, put air in my tire so I can go to work in the morning and put my tire back on.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't have anything else, I want to say that it was absolutely a blast having you on the show. So now you've been on this side of the glass.
Instead of where everybody else is.
Yeah, in the chat room. So when you guys are in the chat room and you see you've got yours listed as your regular name in there, don't you?
On YouTube?
Yeah, it's just Benjamin in there. Yeah. So when you see Benjamin in the chat room talking,
that's me.
That's this guy right here. And he is also one of our very quick
information gophers.
Yeah. If we say something and we're not 100% certain, he's on it. Between him and Bacon. You know, so you can do the Hangout conference style. And that's something we're going to work on with OBS.
Yeah.
Because OBS has the capability of being able to bring in remote video with people live. So that's something we are going to work on in Mississippi, is how to do that so we can make this. Because eventually I would like to make Yhamish Presents legitimately Amtgard wide.
Yeah.
And not just local. You know, being able to get somebody from, say, the Kingdom of Winter's Edge.
Yeah.
Or Northern Lights or Golden Vale.
Have people
Kingdom
from
of Crystal
kingdoms.
Groves, you know, things like that, and be able to have them on so they can, you know, so that way we can have an Amtgard wide deal. One of my ultimate guests that I would love to have on the show is Goldcrest. I'd love to get Goldie. I would love to get Goldie on the show.
I would actually, You know what? Actually, not just Goldcrest, but if you ever got M-Hog on here.
M-Hog would be another wonderful one to have on the show. But okay, so anyway, so we need to. So nobody's else has got any questions. If you do more than one stream, trust me, I've got the computer that can handle it. Angel, my computer can handle running multiple streams.
Oh yeah.
You know, she's built specifically for that. I game, but not to the extent that I need a gaming computer. But I built that so I have no problem streaming.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, anyway, that's all we've got for tonight. And I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you do have any more questions for Qilamil or myself or anybody that works on the show, you know where we're at on Facebook. You can hit us up at any time. Thank you all for being a part of the show. I thank you guys for the great questions. And we'll catch you all later. For everybody here at the studio, once again, thank you for coming out and being a part of the show. And and have yourself a good night and have yourself a good week. And if don't do what we wouldn't do, which doesn't leave you a lot of room for error. For everybody here, I'm Yhamish. Good night.